I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Grant with that jump shot's off. Long rebound run down by Hodges, and here's the King. That's a three.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
The NBA begins their conference finals round. We'll touch a little bit on NFL, touch a little bit on Major League Baseball. We're going to have a menagerie of things in which to cover. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition, live as we do it, of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that duo, Cole Johnson. The other half is convalescing Brian Snow. We, of course, love and appreciate him, and he loves and appreciates you. Now, if you want to be part of the room, part of the family, part of the interactive chat, you know, like my man Sick, as he does every single morning, we appreciate you, my brother. And here we go. That's right. Now, if you want to be like Sick, like my man K. Peeps, like my man A. Pizzle, like Ryan, like Andrew, like Ethan, and Trisha, Latine A, that critical Broncos fan, it's growing by the day. All you have to do is go on to YouTube. That's all you have to do. We are live on YouTube right now. That's right. Right now, we're live on YouTube. Just go there, type youtube.com/C/Snowman in the Morning 50. That's Snowman in the Morning 50. That is Snowman in the Morning 5 to the 0. And you can be amongst those in the chat. Now, if you would please so kind, if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so we can have you get everything that comes from the channel. That's how we grow, because that's how we love. Now, if you want to donate to the show, you can go to paypal.me/snowman2172. That's paypal.me/snowman2172. And if you feel so kind to donate in terms of another means, like Patreon, go to patreon.com/SIT morning, and you can do that as well. All right, so on tap this morning, we're going to go right into it. NBA tonight begins the conference finals round, and we begin in South Beach. Yes, Miami is where we begin. Tip-off is at 8:30 p.m. tonight. It is the Celtics and the Heat, and how I look at it, I think it's going to be this way. You have two teams that play small-ish, but you have teams that both love to get at ball handlers. They love to get at the ball handler. They love to close out, because each coach, Eric Spoelstra for the Heat and Ime Udoka for the Celtics, they preach that a man should not be open even if he is on the perimeter and you have a whole lot of defense in the post. They believe in getting after whatever the ball is. Even if the ball travels faster than the defense rotates, which, of course, that's pretty much how it always rolls. But you had both teams believe in the philosophy that you got to get after shooters in the perimeter, and you have to make sure the paint is clogged, the lane is clogged, that you cannot just penetrate willy-nilly. It depends to me on which team can lock that part down and which team can offensively execute, even in the midst of the opposing defense wanting to take you out of what you're comfortable doing. So obviously you have the two big players in this series, which would be Jimmy Butler of the Heat and Jason Tatum of the Celtics. I have to say the Celtics need to have the mentality of going to South Beach tonight and get this game. It's easier to me for a road team to take game one than game two, because you don't want to build the you don't want to get the home team who has home court advantage, in this case is the Heat, to gain home court advantage. You want them to be on their toes. And the Celtics know that, because they were basically on their toes the whole series beforehand with the Bucks, where they were down 1-0, 2-1, and 3-2. They didn't lead the series at all until they clinched it. So They were on their toes. They were on their heels because they wanted to get at least a series advantage, and they never did until basically game 7. So they know how important it is to get that momentum, and so they want to shore it up. And if they can, game 1 is where you do it. Now, if it is at all possible for the Heat to basically mirror what the Celtics do offensively, and that's step up and score, we got to see more from Tyler Hero from the bench. We got to see more from even Victor Oladipo from off the bench. We got to see more from Bam Adebayo. And we got to see more from others who could contribute along with Jimmy Butler. And to me, PJ Tucker has to hit at least 2 of those corner threes that he's known to hit. As long as he hits 2 of those, and he, of course, is a beast on the offensive boards, and he locks down his defender defensively, I think that's the contribution that you're going to get from Tucker. For the Celtics, it is quite simple. I said this in the Bucks series. I'll say it in this series, but it's a little different. Tatum and Brown need to average 60 together. It doesn't matter if Brown gets 40 and Tatum gets 20, or if Tatum gets 40 and Brown gets 20. Doesn't matter. I think the two of them need to average 60 together, and they need to have 2 more to come up with them. It could be Smart and Horford. It could be Smart and Grant Williams. It could be Smart and Robert Williams. It could be Smart and Pritchard. Just as long as it's 2 of them, it doesn't even have to be Smart. It could be Horford and Pritchard. It could be Williams and Williams. It could be Williams and Horford. No matter, but 2 others that can match not 30 each, not 30 by themselves, but maybe 30 total. You have Tatum that can average 30. You can have Brown who can come close to average 30, and you can have the other 2 that could, in that particular game, get you 15 each. Because if they can maneuver getting 90 points between 4 players, the game will be easier for the Celtics to win. The Heat love to get you out of your game so that you do not get the opportunity to have 2, 3, 4 players who can just simply dominate the game. They want to have that one player have the weight on his shoulders to say, we're going to bring them to a victory, and that's that. They basically want what they saw in Jason Tatum in games 1, 2, and 3 of the previous series against the Bucks. They want him to feel that he needs to have all the pressure and all the weight on him, because he'll get his points, but then he'll have one of those nights where it's like 4 of 19, where the shots just don't fall. That's what the Heat want, and it makes their defense easier, like we saw in the previous series with the Sixers. All they needed to do was to make sure I won't say locked down, but they wanted to make sure that they neutralized to the best of their ability Joel Embiid, because they had no answer for him. The man was just too big. But neutralize him to the point where he doesn't go off for like 30, 35, or 40. And if they could do that, the rest they could cover, because, well, they were faster defensively than the Sixers were offensively. The Celtics can be fast. They can play up-tempo. The thing is, I don't think they want to play up-tempo. I think they want to grind it out. I'm not saying they necessarily want to have games where teams don't combine to score for 200 points in a game. But I think they're more at home playing that way than they are if they were to play up and down, like they did in the first round against the Nets in games 3 and 4. What I love about this series is you're going to see 2 teams that play similar to one another, and that is key. If you can get that, that's what you need. I appreciate that, Sick. To the folks at the BS3 Network, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Ben, Irene, Ben, Ivan, and the crew. Love all of you. Appreciate you. Sick says, knocking out the defending champs, the Bucks, may boost the Celtics' confidence, but shouldn't be seen as a favorite to the Heat. I agree with that. And Sick says, good morning to you, BS3 Network. Sick also says, as much as people are going to be looking at Tatum versus Butler, whose supporting cast is going to step up? That's the key to me. It's which supporting cast is going to be bigger. And the Celtics have the advantage there because you pretty much can pencil Jaylen Brown for about 20. So you really can't say that about the Heat because you had to say, it could be Adebayo, but I'm not sure. It could be Oladipo if he decides to play like he did when he was younger, but I'm not sure. It could be Hero having one of those unconscious nights, but I'm not sure. It's that type of thing. So they have to basically play it more by committee than the Celtics do. But the messed up part is the Celtics they win by committee offensively. So, as I said, it's almost like mirror images of each other because they don't really have a true big man. They do have a big man presence, both teams. They don't have that big man. They don't have like an Embiid. They don't have like a Antetokounmpo or Brook Lopez. Neither team has that type of presence, but they have a presence that's big enough to where you think twice about driving the lane, and that is what's key. I'm liking this series. I think I like this series just a wee bit more in the Western Conference Finals because I think we're going to see both teams challenged offensively. But that is the key right there, Sick, and you said it. Which supporting cast is going to come up bigger? Is it going to be Jimmy Butler's for the Heat? Is it going to be Jason Tatum's for the Celtics? And as I said, I think the Celtics have an advantage because one of the other supporting cast normally steps up considerably almost every game. So the Celtics have that as an advantage, but they cannot, and I agree with your point too, Sick. They can't rest on their laurels and they can't feel as though, well, this is going to be where we actually have them. The Heat can lull you in that sense of security and then just simply knock you completely off your rocker. Look at the first round series against the Hawks. Trae Young, last year's playoffs, ruled 2 rounds where he took over games in the fourth quarter, both in the series against the Knicks and the series against the 76ers. Tried to do it against the Bucks in the conference finals, just couldn't get over the hump there. He tried to do the same thing against the Hawks, but the Hawks were like, well, you're the only offense, so we're going to just eliminate you. And eliminate everything else. So if you're going to win, almost every single point is had to come out of your hands. That pressure got on him, and 3 times he did not reach 10 points. That's what they want to do with Tatum. They're not going to have as easy of a time to do that with him as they did with Young. Western Conference Finals. Let's switch gears there. So that tip-off is tomorrow night, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, tip-off is at 9 Eastern, I believe. And that is between the Mavericks and the Warriors. Here is the key for me. Can the Mavericks do, excuse me, can the Mavericks do what they did in Game 7 against the Suns in either Games 1 or 2 versus the Warriors? If they can have that type of performance, and I'm not talking about hold the Warriors to 90 points. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if they can combine the aggression that they had when they stepped on the court, because when they stepped onto Phoenix, when they stepped off the bus, the thought process they had was, we're going to go straight from here to San Francisco because we're not going home. We're not going home. The Suns are staying home because they're not going to advance the playoffs. They aren't better than we are. They're not more prepared than we are, and they don't want it more than we do. The gift of a young hungry team, where, and this is the plus of that, where you have that, when you have that hunger, that dog, where you're like, there's not going to be a team that's going to dominate against us. That helps a young hungry team, because what is the antithesis of that is a veteran team that has been there, that has done that has tasted victory, that has tasted sweet victory, has tasted bitter defeat, and they have bounced back and won, and they have come correct with the victory and followed it with another. And oh, by the way, that's the team that the Mavericks are playing in this round, in the Warriors. Now, I said yesterday Warriors in 6. I'm not changing that. I think the Warriors have this series. The Mavericks have a chance, though. Here's why I say they do. Excuse me. They have a chance by doing this. If they watch Game 5 of the previous series between the Warriors and the Grizzlies, if they saw what the Grizzlies did offensively, not necessarily defensively, but offensively against the Warriors, what they decided to do was basically, well, give them death by a thousand backdoor cuts on their own. And they did it with athleticism. They showed that they were younger, they were more spry, they were quicker. If they could show that, meaning if Jalen Brunson handles the ball more, if Spencer Dinwiddie can actually hit his shots from deep more, if you can get contributions from Kleba and from Finney-Smith and from Bullock and others, if you can get that type of contribution elsewhere, then that will ease up the tension of Luka doing what he likes to do, and that's basically take anybody off the dribble and just dare you. Oh, you can't guard me. And he sort of has a Muhammad Ali approach. It's like, man, if you think you can stop me, you better wake up and apologize. That's the mentality Luka Doncic has. But you can't take advantage of that, and I'm sincerely praying that the Mavericks learned that you can't do that being a spectator on the court, because you will get what you got in games 1, 2, and 5 versus the Suns in the previous series. You will be played off of the gym and played out of the floor. You will. It wouldn't even be a contest, because it would be basically like chess with the Warriors versus checkers with the Mavs. The Mavericks need to be aggressive, and they need to show that they are willing to be aggressive from minute number 1 in game number 1. And if they don't show that they are aggressive, they show they want to be back on their heels, that's where the Warriors have you. My problem with saying, yes, I feel the Mavericks can advance and go to the NBA Finals this year, it's because on the road they play on their heels far too often. On the road, they are spectators far too much. And because of that, that feeds into the hands of what the Warriors want to do when they are on the offensive. They want to attack you and attack you and attack you. And they want to attack you, and I've said this before, they want to attack you like you're doing the defensive cha-cha. You know, you slide to the post because you want to guard against the backdoor cuts, and then they'll bomb you from 3. And then when that happens, they want to have you slide back out to the perimeter to stop those threes from being launched, and then they just backdoor cut you, and then you slide back to the post to try to guard that. Then they bomb away again. They want you to be on your toes. They want to be kept guessing, and when they keep a defense guessing, that is when they are the most dangerous. But as we saw in games 4, 5, and 6. If they're a little more stationary, the chances of beating them are greater. I don't see them doing that. Not in this series. But we'll talk a little bit more about the game itself tomorrow night when they tip off. I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, I want to touch on CP3. Did he collapse? Did he choke? Or was this simply, it was just the whole team and the Suns just didn't have it? You're watching Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Be back right after this.
It's time to...
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
You're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go, babe. I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
You operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck, Dr. K, by going to official SIT Morn. That's official SIT Morn. That is how you can reach us on Instagram and on Twitter. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that duo, Cole Johnson. Brian Snow is recovering and recuperating from cancer surgery from last month, and he is rounding into shape and he's getting into his more rare form as we are accustomed to seeing. Al High of the Casual Highlight, thank you, sir. Morning to you. He says, I like the commercials, and thank you. And that is not by coincidence. This program believes in mental health, and we believe, and we've had this conversation before, we believe that a more mentally healthy human being is a better and more productive one and a happier one. And we won't ever, even in sports, we won't ever disparage, we won't ever talk down to anybody who says that they're suffering from mental health, like Naomi Osaka, for example. We'll never talk down or Simone Biles. We'll never talk down to any athlete who suffers from it or is diagnosed with it clinically and they're going through it and they want to make sure that they're better. We believe that if they can take the time to know who they are and get healthy in their mentality, then they'll be the best athlete that they possibly can be. Now, on the other hand, those who use that as a crutch and they use it as a vehicle to sort of get the wolves off him, like this man. And if you have seen this man, please report him to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. We want to get him back onto Brooklyn. And I might have to talk about something ridiculous later on the day about him. But this man has not seen the court for 10 months, almost 11 months. And he won't see the court possibly until mid-October. So he would have had a 16-month break from doing the task that he is paid to do, that he was supposed to be paid $35 to $36 million to do. So if you have seen this man, please report him to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. We want to direct him to the Barclays Center, where he plies his trade as of current. Now, I want to, before I do get further, Six says, Cole, the pre-diabetes commercial is also great. Very informative and raises awareness. Type 2 diabetes is no joke. And you're right, it's not. It is no joke at all. So we saw what we witnessed Sunday night. And basically Sunday night is why I love sports. You just simply cannot predict what you see. And you hear a lot of talking heads and a lot of fanatics literally claim that, well, it's rigged, it's scripted, it's choreographed. No, it's not. Sports, and I've said this often, is the greatest reality television program that you can ever create in the history of media. There is nothing you could do that could create reality television better than any sporting event. But in this case, we're talking about Chris Paul, and now people are pointing the finger at him, saying that, well, he came up woefully short. And I don't know if he came up woefully short as much as basically you had Jason Kidd, who looked at this 6-foot point guard who was dealing with Luka Doncic, who's about at least 5 or 6 inches taller. And it's like, well, I got a 6'8" advantage. We're going to abuse the dickens out of this guy. And basically, this is basketball 101. If you feel as though someone is a threat, how do you attack him? You attack him defensively. And if you attack him defensively, you will get him out of his whole game, because offensively, you won't be able to contribute as freely and as effortlessly as he normally would. That's what Kidd did. Williams, who is a pretty good adjustment guy to that, didn't adjust quite quick enough to that, and thought how things were rolling in Phoenix was fine. Just how things were rolling in Dallas wasn't, but I think he was fine with it because he had home court advantage. But it came to bite him because the adjustments that he should have made in Game 7, he did not. So now, for the second straight year in a row, Chris Paul's season came to an abrupt end in the way that he does not. And I mentioned this yesterday. He has held a 2-0 series lead 5 times in his career. When he was a Hornet, 2008 conference semifinals against the Spurs. 2013, I think that was a conference semifinals as well against the Thunder. 2015 conference semifinals against the Rockets. Those 2 instances was when he was a Clipper. 2021 NBA Finals, of course. And then the 2021 conference semifinals against the Mavs as a Sun. And so now the talk was last year, not quite as much, because people thought, well, he has unfinished business. This is the first finals trip he took, had a 2-0 lead, had 2 games to go to get to the brass ring, didn't get there. So I know that leaves a bad taste in his mouth, and he wants to get back there. This year's a little different because they didn't even get to the conference finals. With the best record in the league and having dual 32-9 road and home records in the 2022 season, they did not qualify for the conference finals. So for the second straight year, Chris Paul now feels compelled that he has to say, well, should I stay or should I go? I know it's a Class song. Should I stay or should I go now? I'm sorry. But but he felt compelled to basically squelch the rumors and say, no. I'm coming back next year. And he went on to say that, going so far as to state, quote, you play long enough and you don't win, every time you lose, they're going to say it's your best shot. But I think for me, we'll be back next year. I'll tell you that much. I'm not retiring tomorrow, thank God. Hopefully, I'm healthy coming back. But I'm going to keep playing. Close quote. Here's the problem about that. So he's 37 now. By the time we come to this part of the season next year, he'll be 38. He doesn't show that he is the most durable player in the league or most durable point guard that we have. And he now is at the twilight of his career. This could work if only one thing happens. It could work if Devin Booker, his backcourt mate, can claim the Suns to be his team. To basically have the mentality of, get on my back, Phoenix. I got all of you. Yeah, Chris, get on my back too. I got all 14 of you. Hop on my back. I'm taking you to that promised land. Devin Booker, it is now time for him to own the Phoenix Suns, and this is his team. And part of the reason why we didn't consider him to be an MVP finalist is because people still ask the question, well, is this team Chris Paul's or is this Devin Booker's? Is this team Chris Paul's or is it Devin Booker's? And because of that, Booker's not taken as an elite player, and that hurts to me, it hurts his growth, and it hurts his perception to the rest of the NBA. Next year, he has to be unquestionably one of the top 3 players in the game. And if he could do that, then Chris Paul can be how he was even this year. And he can have games where he's off, but the Suns still win. Why? Because Booker, who does have the proclivity to be point guard-ish, although I know he's a shooting guard, but he does have the ability to be a playmaker. He does have the ability to be a distributor when necessary. If he could do not necessarily more of what Chris Paul does, but if he can just take up the mantle of basically like what Giannis Antetokounmpo does for the Bucks. You know, if he can have that mentality of, we're going to win by my sweat equity, or we're going to basically, metaphorically, die trying. And people can clown Giannis all you want and say, well, he was exposed, he's overrated. 25-29 with 2 blocks with 2 steals and a block in a Game 7 loss. It's not exposed and overrated. That's basically, he did everything he could do. It's one man against a full team. Booker has to have that mentality where these 33-point losses at home in a Game 7 never should happen. He should be like, I'm going to die on this sword. I'm going to fight and defend for the right for my team to advance as far as it can go. And if all other 14 guys don't have it, well, doggone it, I'm going to have it. And it's not in a selfish way. It's more in a motivational way. And I'm going to, at points in this season and in points in this series and in points in these games, I'm going to carry this team. That's the mentality Booker has to have. Unfortunately, he proved in this series he doesn't have it yet. I thought he did when we were in the series beforehand against the Pelicans, where he scored 31 points the first half and he messed up his hamstring. I thought that was when it was going to happen, but it did not transpire. It was unfortunate, and we saw what we saw. Sick, talking about the commercials earlier, said, I was also diagnosed with mental disorders a few years ago, and it's the best thing to have happened to me despite the social stigma of the surrounding mental health. Well, yeah, and especially in this arena, in the sporting arena, they treat mental illness and not illness. They treat mental health if it's imbalanced, if it's not right. They treat it as if it's you and your feelings. Snap out of it. Get over it. Shake it off. Well, it's hard to shake off mental something. You know what I'm saying? So Chris Paul can be that difference maker, but I don't think he has to be, and he should not be, the difference maker. Not for the Suns. That should be Devin Booker's territory. And if he can claim that, then I'd be happier. But I'm going to switch gears, still talk about the Suns, but I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because there was something that made me laugh. I mean, it made me laugh when I saw it. And I still, to this day, to this moment, can't believe I saw it. So Cameron Payne, one of the bench players for the Suns, he decided to, I guess you could say, come up with some excuses. I think it's the best way to say it. Quote, congrats to the Mavs, but we played injured, and we never told anyone. Book has been battling left hamstring strain. CP3 has a quad injury. Ayton has been dealing with a torn thumb since game 1 of the conference semifinals. And I've been experiencing some back soreness. It's not a fair series. Close quote.
Bitch, are you for real?
You for real?
Bitch, please.
Are you kidding me, Cam? Really? Are you kidding me? I wish I actually had the Herm Edwards soundbite where he says, hello, you play to win the game. That's what you do. Okay, so you're hurt. I would assume that the other 7 teams are too. That was left in the playoffs. And I'm sure the 4 teams that advance are hurt. And I'm sure some of them are playing while hurt. Some probably playing while injured. I'm positive of that. But don't give me the we're going to sell short the Mavericks actually punking us out on our home court by saying that Booker had a left hamstring strain. We know he did. He pulled it in the first round, but he came back, he played on it, and he actually played pretty well on it throughout the series that you got eliminated in. And then you can say, well, Chris Paul, having a quad injury. Well, okay, he may have had a quad injury. He shot perfect from the field to take you from the first round to the conference semifinals. I'm sure he had that injury then and before then. DeAndre Ayton, torn thumb since the series began. Well, the man played the other 6 games in that series too. And you, with your back soreness, I saw you throw on the uniform to play. So, sir, Mr. Payne, come on, sit down for a quick second. Son, you play with the cards that are dealt. If it means one of you is a spring chicken and healthy, or all 15 of you are, by the time you get to May, it does not matter. The other team gets paid just like you do. The other team wants to advance to where you wanted to advance just as, well, no, worse in this instance than you did. I don't have to go past Luka. This guy sat for 3 games in the first round because he was dealing with some injuries. But you didn't see him complain. Don't rest your laurels on injury saying, well, we would have been better if we were healthy. No, man. No. Be man enough in this situation to say, you know what? Yeah, we're licking wounds, but everybody is. The other 3 teams that got eliminated with us and the 4 teams that advanced to the conference finals, all of us are dinged up and injured because we all have been playing hard since September. So we've been at it. We've been on this grind for 8 months. And the season began in mid-October. We've been on this grind 8 months. And Lord willing, we get up and we do what we have to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But you didn't complain in game 5 because you all had the same injuries, Mr. Payne, than you did in game 7. But you didn't play as if you were in the infirmary then. Why all of a sudden you're infirmed now? No, Cam. No. Don't do this. Don't you rob that team that spanked you by 33. The satisfaction of punking you in your own building. Don't rob them that satisfaction. Own that butt whooping. Own it. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Own that butt whooping. Own it, because you did not play good enough. The other 14 of your teammates did not play good enough. Your head coach, Monty Williams, who is this year's coach of the year, did not coach well enough. This is an organizational failure, which you are a part of. Do not say we didn't answer the bell because we were injured. Don't undercut that butt whooping that the Mavericks gave you. They were the hungrier team. They were the better team. And they proved that they were the more aggressive team. And they proved from tip-off that you all were paper champions. And that they wanted it more. They wanted it worse. They wanted it. They were the better team. Exclamation point, end of discussion. So don't say that you were injured and basically it was not a fair series because of that. Let's get 3 things out of the way. Number 1, you were on the court, you were dressed up. The Mavericks were on the court, they were dressed up. So to me, that's fair enough. Number 2, you had home court advantage in this series. Not the Mavericks, you did. And you won the other 3 games that you played at home. So why all of a sudden you decide to be persona non grata in game 7, but not in games 1, 2, and 5? And number 3, Mr. Payne, you've lived life long enough, son. You already know. Life is not fair. Life is never fair. Life will never be fair. The closest you can get to life being fair is the arena in which you practice, the sporting realm. The fair part is you have the ability to do what it takes to have one more point than your opponent. How you get there is up to you. That is as fair as it gets. So don't give me don't give me this other crap of Booker's hamstring injury and CP3's quad injury and Aiden's torn thumb and your back soreness. Let me tell you the muscle that you lacked. Let me tell you the muscle that hurt the most for all of the Suns, Mr. Payne. You all have the ninja heart. All of you, all 15 of you had an injured heart because you did not have enough heart to beat a team that had no business beating you. They had no business beating you on your home floor by 1 point. They most certainly didn't have business beating you by 33. So take that butt whooping like the man that you're supposed to be. Grin, bear it, and say they were the better team. On to next year. Don't give me any excuses. Get out that hot seat. And the SIT fam agrees with me. Al, and check out the casual highlight. That's a wonderful brother. He has great insight. He talks about sports in a different way, and I love that and I appreciate that about him. He says, everybody is injured in the playoffs. Stop it. Thank you, brother. Exactly. 6 says, trying to taint the loss with excuse, is he? Such a sore loser. I could not have said it better. He also went on to say Paul Pierce stubbornly played hurt with a bad knee during the Celtics championship run in 2008. He came back with a championship ring and finals MVP honors. Yep. Cameron Payne needs to understand that there is no room for plausible deniability, so take it on the chin, young man. 27 years old he is. He should know better than to complain and make excuses. Stop the mental gymnastics. See, I couldn't have said that much better. Tip your cap to the team that beat you. That's all it is, Cam. Tip your cap, sir. And I will tip my cap to all of you because you are now inside hour number 2 of Snowman in the Morning.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Mister, will you please wake up?
First and 10. Luck steps up, fires towards the end zone. One-handed catch. Mo Alley Cox.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
Hour number 2 of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that dynamic duo, Cole Johnson. The other half is convalescing, and others who are normally part of the show, well, they're with me too in spirit. And the chat is in rare form. I love you guys. Great to have you with me. And if you are live on YouTube, remember, you can go there, youtube.com/C/Snowman in the Morning 50. That's Snowman in the Morning 50. And you can be a part of the interactive chat, like Sick, like Al, like BS3, like the others who come and say what's up and give their extremely intelligent takes. And while you're there, subscribe to the show, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be a part of this conversation, because that's where we grow. That's where we grow as analysts. That's where we grow as hosts. That's where we grow as sports fans. That's what we do, because that's how we do. Now, a little bit more on the NBA. I just read up on this story. I think it was about a couple of hours ago. So the baby mama of Rajon Rondo has been granted an emergency protective order against Mr. Rondo after he was accused of pulling a gun on his family at their Louisville home last week. Now, she submitted this application about a few days ago in Jefferson County, Kentucky Family Court. And it was approved by the judge, according to the Courier-Journal. Love you guys there in Louisville. In her statement, she said that Rondo became, quote, enraged and violent, close quote, and threatened to kill her and brandished a gun in front of her and their children. She also went on to say that she's extremely fearful for her safety and the safety of their children. Rajon, she said, has a history of volatile, erratic, and explosive behavior. Now, Rondo nor his attorney could be immediately reached for comment. What I have to say is this. There used to be a time in the media sphere or in sports talk circles where we would see a story like this and automatically say, well, this man's guilty. Doggone it. He's a bad apple and he needs to pay. I'm not doing that here. Now, does Rondo have the ability to be volatile and hot-headed? Yeah, he's actually called himself, and this is out of his mouth, quote, an hole. That is what he said. Close quote. So he has the ability to be hot-headed and volatile and temperamental, and we've seen it on the court. Could that translate beyond the court? Possibly. But we're not sure yet. So this is where we differ from other platforms, because we can talk about this all day and we can say, well, doggone it, this is yet another example of a wayward athlete who thinks he's privileged and he stands on this and he ruins all of it because he thinks he's better than everybody. No. I want to hear all of this. I definitely want to hear more from his baby mama. I want to hear from him or his team. And I want to get to a strong conclusion of it all. Because doggone it, I'm not going to be prisoner of the moment in regards to this situation. I refuse to be that way. 6 says, I'm going to reserve judgment until all facts come out. Let the law investigate and get to the bottom of it. Thank you, sir. And this is the reason why I brought this story to the forefront. I want to prove to the SITM fam, to those watching, to other in media, I want to prove that you can be objective as you could possibly be. You can bring stories like this to the people. And you can take the stance that I'm taking on behalf of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. And I'm sure Brian would take the same stance that I would take. I'm reserving judgment. No, I'm not going to come out and say, well, yeah, Rondo deserves to be locked up, put him in jail, throw away the key. No. We have seen this movie far too many times. There was a linebacker who used to play for the Falcons, and the name escapes me. Dude got locked up for 5 years because a woman claimed that he raped her. And it turned out the woman lied. And yes, he eventually got out of jail, but his career was ruined because he got in jail when he was drafted in the NFL. Right when he got drafted in the NFL, that's when he landed in jail. That's when this rape charge happened. Then he was proven guilty in a court of law, which means that his defense that he hired must have been horrible, or public defender variety. He got railroaded, and his life was ruined for 5 years. And, oh, by the way, he was a registered sex offender and didn't do the crime. So that's why I'm not going to say, well, Rondo is a guilty guy. He's a bad apple. He's a bad egg, that he needs to be punished. And doggone it, this should be an example that you should come down on an athlete. No. Until I see more evidence that this is something that makes me say, oh, man, Ronshan, why did you go that route? I'm not doing that. No, sir, no, ma'am. Not doing it. So I wanted to bring that to you all to prove that we're not just your ordinary sports show. We actually tackle these topics, but we tackle them the way that we believe you deserve for these topics to be tackled. I want Rondo to feel as though that if he ever has a place that he can address whatever issues he has, here's the place where he can do it. because we don't do judgments like that here. That's not how we roll. That's not how we roll. Thank you, Sick. That's the name, Brian Banks. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name. Thank you. That's him, Brian Banks. Linebacker. He was drafted by the Falcons. Life got railroaded. Woman claimed he raped her. Went through the trial. Was proven guilty. Was thrown in jail for 5 years. Was put as a registered sex offender. And then 5 years later, it came out she lied. Yeah, sickening. BS3 Network says, I'm waiting for all the information to come out. That's fair. Yeah, that's more. Heck, that is more than fair because that's exactly what needs to happen. Man, but I hate to hear these stories come out, but until I see something that makes me say, okay, this is something horrible, I'll reserve a little bit of judgment. A quick reset. I'm gonna come back with something else.
Have y'all even considered the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo, yes, that Jimmy Garoppolo that everyone wants to send everywhere else, may not be sent anywhere by the 49ers because, I don't know, they actually trust him?
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Rolling along on Snowman and One with Cole Johnson. I'm one half of that team, Cole Johnson. Brian Snow is recuperating, and he sends his love to all of you. Now, enough of the NBA. Let's go to the NFL a little bit, shall we? So I think we didn't really touch enough on it, but we'll touch on it now. Tom Brady, the dude is going to be a millionaire many times over after he hangs up the helmet and puts away his cleats. And puts away the pads. For those who don't know, he with Fox signed a 10-year, $375 million deal, and he, upon his entry into the booth, will be the number one color guy. Now, what I find interesting about this, and I'll talk about this in a minute. All right, so here's how the deal will work. Whenever he decides to call it a career, his deal is worth $37.5 million annually. And many in the industry understand why, and I understand why too. What I do love is you have those like Dan Faust who says, well, he's Tom Brady and he's got the chops for it and he'll work hard at it. And I'm sure that I think he would want to be great, right? Most are pretty bullish on Brady being a broadcaster because I've seen this, and I think this sort of touches a little bit on some that are in the chat, like my man Ben and like my man Al, or Cool McCain, or K Peeps, Kevin Peoples, or Sam, the Shady Sports Network. Those who, like me, actually do this too. And you ask yourself, well, wait a minute. We're slaving, we're grinding, we're putting in the time, we're putting in the sweat equity. We're doing this, we're doing the studying. Why is it we're basically getting pennies, if that, and this guy who hasn't even touched the mic in the booth hadn't touched the mic. This dude's going to get paid over $1 million a game. Over $2 million a game. $37.5 million. Each time that he will be telecast and you see him, he would have pocketed over $2 million. Yeah. So I can understand how the industry is a little bullish on him too, because they're saying, well, he has no experience, and the personality. I don't know. It's cute that he's with Giselle and he eats avocado ice cream and he does bungee jumping every now and then, and he decided to toss one of those Lombardi trophies from boat to boat. All right, so he has some personality, but There's no way that he could be really that good, right? I mean, he doesn't really seem to have that type of personality. But you have to look at it, this way. Okay, so is he well spoken? Yeah. Does he have a face for television? Yeah. Does he know the game? Yeah. Does he have a name? Yeah. Will he draw people to the product, whether he's on Fox, NBC, CBS, or any other network that does football? Yeah. So you have to understand this is what is necessary. Now, is he going to be like a, I don't know, like a Joe Namath, who that fool basically was all about drinking? No. So, I think Tom Brady is one of the most media savvy athletes that we've ever run across. So I think this would work. And I really don't feel any jealousy for him getting that, because I understand why he got it. And also, we all have to thank Tony Romo for this too, because CBS tried this and they said, okay, we think that Tony Romo, who is photogenic, who seems to be well-spoken, who seems to have a great grasp of the game, who seems to be personable, who seems to have charisma, I think this could work. Although, yes, he has not stepped behind the mic before. He has done so now. We just have a feeling this will work. And so now we've seen this experiment happen for 4 years, and it has worked. CBS rolled the dice, and they came up huge. And now they're pocketing a lot of change with having Tony Romo being the color guy to Jim Nantz. So they see this. Fox sees this. ESPN sees this. NBC sees this. And they want to have the same thing. And don't think for a second NBC and ESPN didn't think the same thing and didn't shoot their shot to Tom Brady either. Because they did. They did. Back to Brian Banks. Six says, Cole, Banks was falsely accused and wrongly convicted while he was a student at Long Beach. Okay, it was a high school. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Sick. BS3 Network asked this question. He says, what if Tom Brady bombs? He's not God, people. Hold on. Don't say that around the Bradyite. Don't say that around him. But please don't say that around him, because to them, oh yeah, he's straight God to them. He's straight God to them. Why? Because they wholeheartedly believe within their gut that he is the greatest football player ever. So they believe he is God, which that makes me absolutely sick. And BS3 laughs at Joe Namath, the alcoholic broadcaster. Well, yeah. I mean, shall we not forget, I think this was about 10-ish years ago, that he was on the sideline with Suzy Kolber and he shot his shot at her on air. Oh man, BS3 Networks also says Tom Brady has a "I'm better than you" voice. I wish I actually created this. I want to create this, because this would be another, and I'll go through the Bradyite handbook eventually. I'm not gonna do it now, but another chapter that I'll create is, now my quarterback earns $37.5 million away from the game. How about yours? That's going to be another chapter, because his fandom seems to think godlike with him too. And they seem to think, well, because we love Tom Brady, are better than you too. Yeah, that's how they think. That's how they think. What What I also believe is most most football broadcasters and most football broadcast companies, I should say, or at least when they go into football, they believe that you can't get a better perspective from the game than a former football player. And I agree that they have a perspective of the game that none of us who played it on a professional level ever will. But that's not the only way, and that's not the only person who could qualify for it. Just look at John Madden, to me, who is the greatest color guy who's ever touched a mic in regards to football. He had a cup of coffee for the Eagles. And when I mean cup of coffee, I mean he was drafted by them in the spring, played for him in training camp, messed up his knee. I think the second game in the preseason of his rookie season, and so that began his career in coaching. So he coached for off and on. I think he coached for almost 20 years. And then he got into the booth, and when he got into the booth, he was magic. But he never played one NFL down as a player. All of his NFL experience was as a coach. So it doesn't have to be a former player that does it. You don't believe me? Look at Drew Brees. He learned, and I think he learned the hard way. Wow, this job behind the desk, and this job being next to Mike Tirico, it's not easy. No, it's a grind. It's a grind, and I knew that wouldn't really fit for Drew Brees because he's a family man. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has 3 sons and a daughter, and he's married. And one of the hugest things about Drew Brees was he's a family guy. So I figured that was going to be a little tougher for him. With Brady, he's proven that, yes, he is a family guy, but he's a little different. And it's a little different. And I love that about him. 6 says, BS3, that depends on how little Brady has been affected from concussions. Good point. That's a real good point. And this was something that was discussed. Who said this? I forgot. It was a defensive lineman that was a pass rusher. So defensive end. It was a defensive end, and I cannot remember the name. But he said it was either defensive end it was either defensive end or like a outside linebacker like Von Miller. But it was a pass rusher. And he said something to, I think it was Von Miller. I think he said something to the effect of, it's a difference hitting Tom Brady versus a Ben Roethlisberger. Now, when you hit Ben Roethlisberger, it was like hitting glass because you felt as though he was fragile and that, he was stiff. And of course, when you hit him, he didn't stiffen up anymore. He said with Tom Brady, it felt like you were hitting water because he was so fluid with the hit that he would not allow you to hurt him. And that he would absorb the hit, but he would absorb it in a way where he did not take so much of the shock from it. So I say that with the concussions from the aspect and standpoint that he tries his best to not be the recipient of a nasty hit. He tries to avoid that at all costs. And I'm glad he does. 6 says, I'm sure Eli Manning still has 2 things over Brady. Oh, so close to the perfect season as Super Bowl 37. Oh, thank you for introducing that, Sig. All right. So for those who want, this is a quick aside. So for those who want to always say either to me or to anybody who you feel as though is within earshot of wanting to hear your opinion, quote, Eli Manning is garbage as a quarterback. He does not belong in the Hall of Fame. Close quote. Okay, you have one thing going for you. His record is 500 in the regular season. Yeah. But you know why he's going to go into the Hall of Fame? 2 reasons. 2. 1, he's a Manning. Archie Manning's in the hall, and Peyton Manning now is in the hall. So he has a father that's in the hall, and he has a brother that's in the hall. So his name carries a lot of weight, and it carried a lot of weight before he took a snap in the NFL, because he had a father who was already in the Hall of Fame, and he had a brother who was years into his career as a Hall of Famer. And number 2, Tom Brady has 2 losses in the Super Bowl against him. The people that most consider to be the greatest football player ever is 0-2 against Eli Manning in the Super Bowl. So that's something that he hates. Talking about he as in Manning. I mean, as in Brady hates. And I know, by the way, he's 1-3 in championship games against Peyton Manning too. But you didn't hear that from me, right? Do I think this will work? Yes. What and why do I think it will work? Brady loves to talk football, so I don't think that's a problem. I think he has a personality that is favorable and likable, so I don't think that's a problem either. The only problem for me would be if you paired him against the wrong play-by-play guy. I think that's the only fault I could see. That's the only way that Fox could go wayward. If you could fit him with the right play-by-play guy who can fit with the style and can flow with him, that's fine. For example, the greatest play-by-play color combo that I've ever heard on any sporting program. It could be basketball, it could be football, it could be baseball, it could be boxing even. It could be hockey. Doesn't matter the sport. It's Pat Summerall and John Madden. And they are my favorite tandem because you had 2 different personalities. You had the demonstrative, the expressive, the overly passionate, the gregarious, the fun-loving John Madden. And you had the businesslike, the subdued, the pedantic, the matter-of-fact, the straight to the point, the blunt manner, and the controlled, calm manner of Pat Summerall. Little did we know, actually, back when we were watching them, that they were more alike than we thought. And they got along wonderfully because they were so different. And actually because they were so similar too, because Madden was a teacher at heart. And he wanted to teach no matter what the arena was. But especially football. He wanted to teach. That was the reason why he was such a great great color guy, because he came with the mentality of being a professor in the booth, that he was teaching us the finer points of football, and it worked to perfection. And Summerall was a gregarious sort. Part of the reason why he was taken off of the 70s team with Tom Brookshire was because he was a little bit too gregarious. He had a alcohol problem, and I think part of being with Madden, who was a little more clean cut, was to get him away, Summerall, away from the boys will be boys mentality that he had with his best friend Tom Brookshire. So yeah, you had a perfect marriage. So if you could find somebody who could mesh personality wise with Tom Brady, the marriage would work. And I think it would work wonderfully. 6 says Giants Super Bowl 37 and 41 wins. Both wins over Tom Brady and the Patriots. For the hate mail that Patriots fans still wants to shoot today, You can send it my way. I would still say up yours to you. But if you want to send more of those, send it to Sick Diggy. That's SIKKDIGGY. He'll be glad to say up yours to you too. That's SIKKDIGGY. And I'd want you to CC me because I'd want to see him say up yours to you all too. Got it? Good. Yes. Quick break, and when we come back, I'm gonna touch a little bit more on some NFL stuff and some Major League Baseball stuff too. You're inside hour number 2, Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Love you guys. Be right back.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Baby, you see, you're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go. Baby, never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
If you can celebrate Christian McCaffrey having a 1,000,000 season, if you can celebrate Marshall Faulk, who had a 1,000,000 season by electing him into the Hall of Fame, then why can't we celebrate the guy who originated the 1,000,000 season with a Hall of Fame election? I'm talking about the one and only Roger Craig.
If you want some, come get some.
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
We are in the home stretch of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. One half of that team is joining you right now. That's Cole Johnson. The other half is convalescing. Brian sends his love to all of you. And oh yes, and with the invitation that I threw to Sick of the Patriots fan who wants Patriots fan wanting to send hate mail toward him for rubbing it in their faces, saying that sorry, let me do this again, Sick. I know I'm gonna make you smile when I do this again. The Giants Super Bowl 37 and 41 wins. Both of those wins over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. I know you all hate mail, and I know you all probably say, well, they got lucky from 2 different throws from Eli Manning. Well, scoreboard, fools. I said you could send that hate mail to me. I would tell you up yours. But I'm sure Sick would say the same thing. And Sick actually said, I can say that in a few languages too, Cole. Oh, it's great to have fun. All right, so I'm on the NFL. I might as well talk about the schedule since we really didn't talk in depth about it. We can do that now. So the schedule for the 2022 season was released last week. I think it was Thursday when it was. And there's a few games that I'm looking forward to seeing before we kick off for the first game of the season. Oh, and oh, by the way, the very first game of the season is where we're going to start. So September the 8th, I think that's when the 2022 season begins in earnest. Let me see. I'm going to check this really quick. Excuse me. I see. September the 8th. Yes. So that's when we'll have the first kickoff of the 2022 season for the NFL. And that game will be between the Buffalo Bills and the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Now, of course, this game is just marked with a whole ton of offense. I mean, you have with the Rams, Matthew Stafford, and of course the Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp, and OBJ Jr. Who knows at this point? The Bills on the side, they have Josh Allen, and they have Stephon Diggs, and they also have Gabriel Davis, who, let's not forget, in the game they got eliminated in the conference. In the divisional round against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, he scored 4 touchdowns in that game, 2 within 2 minutes of the regulation. Oh, but let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story. So both teams have great offenses. Both teams have pretty good defenses too, and they, of course, try to buffer them. And also the storyline also is you have Aaron Donald on one defense, and you have Von Miller, who was a teammate of Aaron Donald in February, on the other opposing defense for the Bills. So you got some good storylines, but I think the NFL wanted to get off with a game that would offensively spark interest in the product. And I think they wanted to get off on a good foot and say, okay, here's 2 good teams that can light up the scoreboard. And I have to say that was a really good choice. Good choice for opening kickoff. Another game that has caught my attention, of course, both the Chargers-Chiefs games will, but they meet in week 2 at Arrowhead. And when they did so last year, the Chargers came from behind and beat the Chiefs. I think it was 30-24. I think that was the final score. Of course, the Chiefs got their revenge when they returned to LA, and the final score was 34-28, thanks to I think it was like a 55-yard touchdown pass from Mahomes to Travis Kelce. So you have the growing on the Chargers side. You have a growing Justin Herbert, who he looked really good this rookie season. He looked absolutely awesome last year. Oh my gosh, what are we going to see this year? and he has a whole host of weapons. So you have that offense with a defense that I think was licking their wounds last year, and now they seem to be healthy with the Joey Bosa and Duran Davis. Good Lord, the names are just escaping me. And of course, they picked up Khalil Mack, which I think that was a great pickup for them. The Chiefs, this is where it's interesting. You got Mahomes, who's, of course, at quarterback, and you have Kelsey still there at tight end. Oops, no Tyreek Hill. So how can Mahomes adjust to not having the cheetah? And I think that is what's going to be the most intriguing thing in this matchup, at least the first one. The second one's going to be just as intriguing, especially if the Chargers are going to be a contender in the AFC West. I think that's going to be what I believe will be a good sticking point. Six says, wait, doesn't NFL still have the preseason before that? A lot can happen in those games before the regular season kicks off. You're correct, sir. You're correct. The preseason starts mid-August. So, yeah, and you will, I think they have like 3 games. So you have 3 games of that. Oh, and then you have about 3 weeks beforehand where you have training camp. And then, of course, you have OTAs, which is next month. So a lot can happen between now and almost 4 months from now. You are correct, sir. Let's go to week 4. We'll stay with the Chiefs, but they will be traveling to Tampa to play the Bucks, the champions from the year before. And of course, it's also the scene of where the Bucks whooped up on the Chiefs 31-9. And the reason why this is a marquee matchup, Brady versus Mahomes. Will this be the last time these two quarterbacks meet? There's your hook. That's an easy one. But to me, I don't think that's going to be the best game of the week. A possible contender for that would be the Bills traveling to Baltimore. And the reason why I say that is you got Josh Allen on one end, you got Lamar Jackson on the other end, and people could clown Lamar Jackson all you want and say, well, he is not a quarterback. Yes, he's a quarterback. I just believe, and Brian has backed me up in saying this because I backed him up in saying this. I mean, because I backed him up in saying this. He is handicapped by how he's being taught. He's being handicapped by being taught Greg Roman's way of playing offense, which basically is run, and run with the play option to pass. So he believes in the RPO system. And it does not, to me, do favors of a quarterback to blossom into a traditional, sounds dirty, but I really do believe traditional quarterbacks win. And you can have athleticism, not denying that, actually not downplaying it. Please bring the athleticism, but you got to have the ability to be strong in the pocket. My issue with both these quarterbacks actually is they play outside the pocket far too often. Not necessarily I fault the quarterbacks. I fault the systems that the offensive coordinators are teaching, because they encourage and game plan for them to be outside the pocket far too often. Do it every now and then, yes, but don't do it every single possession, because you risk having them be hurt, as in Josh Allen's case going down the stretch last year, or injured, as in Lamar Jackson's case, as his season ended with a second quarter tackle, not a sack, a tackle against the Browns. And he missed, I think, 7 or 8 games the rest of the season. That's what I'd want to avoid. So, yes, the two guys will be exciting, but both have good arms. And I think that would be exciting. Memo to the Ravens: find quality weapons for Lamar Jackson to throw to. Mark Andrews is great, but find other avenues besides him. And no, Marquise Brown was not the quality target that I'm talking about. Find adequate targets for Lamar Jackson to throw to. Please, I implore you, please find them. Next matchup, week 5, Broncos hosting the Colts. Now, this, of course, will make my partner happy. Actually, it'll make my partner's wife happy. So each team is vying for a championship in their own minds. Both of them are. And so you have 2 veteran signal callers on both ends. You have Matt Ryan, who will be in his first year in the Colt uniform. You have Russell Wilson, who will be in the first year of a Broncos uniform. And so you have this intriguing matchup. And the question is begged to be asked. Which team will get off to a really good, hot, or good, strong start? And which team is going to feel the energy of the new quarterback who is leading the team? Will the Broncos take to Russell Wilson? Will the Colts take to Matt Ryan? That is the question that I think we'll be asking before week 5. But when we get there, I think it will be even more so, that question being asked. Cool McCain joining us. Thank you, man. Good morning, bro. Good morning. And thank you. See, it's very true. Good morning, everyone. And I was talking about the Ravens giving Lamar Jackson a target. I'll get to that target in a second. Cool. 6 says, good morning to you, Cool. And the target that Cool McCain is volunteering will be the Eagles wide receiver, Jalen Reagor. He says Jalen Reagor available. Oh, Lord. Jalen, I guess, better be happy that you're not the GM of the Eagles, Cool, because he will be on alert every single second that you're about to release him or trade him. Oh, my gosh. All right. Sorry. Week 8, the Battle of Ohio. But this will be held in Cleveland, the Bengals and the Browns. Of course, this is highlighted because you have the matchup of young quarterbacks. Joe Burrow for the Bengals, who, of course, they are the defending AFC champions. Deshaun Watson of now the Browns, where I might slightly talk about him in terms of him and the NFL. They actually are going to be meeting at some point in the near future. So we might get the suspension out the way. So it's unknown what they're going to do with Deshaun in terms of if they're going to suspend him or not, or how long, if they do suspend him, how long it will be. But it is contingent upon if Watson plays. If he does, this is certainly must-see TV. If it doesn't, it'll be Joe Burrow slicing and dicing and destroying the Browns in Cleveland, where you probably might see more bottles fly onto the field. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Flashback into 2002. My bad. Game between the Jaguars and the Browns, where the rest just butchered that up. Week 10, Cowboys traveling to the not-so-frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to play the Packers. You have Mike McCarthy going back to where he won this lone Super Bowl championship. And you have Aaron Rodgers, who seems to abuse the Cowboys almost every time he plays them. And you have Cowboys fan who thinks that basically the Packers are one of the 17 victims that the Cowboys will encounter because they believe the Cowboys will go 17-0, advance all the way to the Super Bowl and win it. That is how Cowboys fan thinks. That's not how all Cowboys fans think, but that's how many of them think. But is it how we at Snowman in the Morning think?
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Listen.
Week 11, and I think this will also intrigue my partner, who is a staunch 49ers fan. This is when I think they meet for the first time, the Cardinals, because I think they return to play the 49ers in Santa Clara later in the year. This will probably be, I won't say for the first place in NFC West, but it will probably be for playoff positioning in NFC. So a lot of people, and this will make my partner extremely upset. This is if Trey Lance will actually be the quarterback of the 49ers right then. But let's put the pause on that. So you have a disgruntled Kyler Murray, the current quarterback of the Cardinals, who decided to just simply toss a ridiculous pick six in the in the wild card round game in SoFi, blaming just about everybody but himself for the woes and the foibles and the failures of the Cardinals franchise. And the visiting 49ers will have hopefully a team that's healthy enough to battle them. And unless I'm missing something, I think Garoppolo will still be the starting quarterback, because Trey Lance has not played any competitive football, for the exception of 2 starts in 2 years. So I don't think he's ready. I still don't think he will be ready. And he might grow into the position. I'm not sure he's there yet. And until he gets there, then that's different. Week 13, the Browns and the Texans. Week 16, the Broncos at the Rams. And this is interesting because you have the Broncos quarterback in Russell Wilson, who is extremely familiar with the opponent because he has played them twice a year, and sometimes he's played them in the playoffs too. So he knows the Rams very well. He knows Sean McVay very well. But the Seahawks only had a 3-8 record at that time against them since McVay has become the Rams head coach. So now the question will be, when Wilson goes to LA to play the Rams, because he'll go to LA again to play the Chargers, will he have a better success rate against the Rams than he has had 8 out of the last 11 matchups against them? Or will the Rams round in the form and just simply crush everybody? And then, of course, week 18, it depends on who is needing a playoff spot and which game is going to be the most magnanimous. That is basically how it's going to break down. So those are, to me, 10 of the most intriguing games, at least for now. I mean, this is mid-May, and kickoff of the regular season is in less than 4 months. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Some of those games may not be as exciting and exhilarating and as thrilling as we would hope. Some probably will. Most probably won't. Cool says there were talks between the Ravens and the Eagles in grabbing a safety in return. He said it almost happened in the draft, and yes, Rieger would be on alert to clean his locker. No, to the no. As Six says, RIP to Bishop Bullwinkle. And the safety that Cool was referring to was Chuck Clark. Six says, I personally think they'll leave the inter-team's name fans to their beliefs and let reality humble them if that's possible. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Cool. I totally forgot, bro. Yeah, so the Packers will be hosting the Arlington football team. That's what he has called them. The inter-team's name. But yeah, that would apply to all 32 fan bases, but this definitely applies to one in particular. That's the one that Cool McCain calls the Arlington football team. I still love that. That's one of my most favorite nicknames of a team. That's so dismissive. Oh my gosh, I love that. Arlington football team. All right, so I'll just put it in the chat. Where do you see your team going this year? Do you see them being playoff bound? Do you see them being Super Bowl bound? Do you see them basically crossing their fingers, hoping that they're going to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft? What do you all think? And of course, we will definitely talk more in depth about this in the latter parts of the summer, when we get to August and when we get to early September and around Labor Day and the days leading up to the Bills and the Rams. What are your hopes for your team? Is it high? Is it expected? Is it low? Is it you just don't want me to know? And you can talk about this amongst yourselves, and you get back with me soon. But I believe that, to me, this is why the NFL is king, right here. We don't really talk about the NHL schedule. We don't really talk about MLB. We don't talk about MLB schedule at all. And we don't ever talk about the NBA schedule with as much fervor as we do the NFL schedule. We don't talk about the drafts in each of the leagues as much. And we don't anticipate the drafts as much as we do the NFL draft. We don't care so much about the offseason of the other sports, save for maybe the summer league. And that is if there is a hot talent that possibly could make a difference as a rookie in the NBA. But the NFL, free agency period, NFL draft, obviously, the Hall of Fame ceremony, the OTAs, and the schedule release. The NFL gets a lot of things wrong, but the one thing they do get right is they promote the product in a way that the other leagues are envious. I mean, we talked about the games that are going to be played in London, and the games are going to be played in England and in Germany and in Mexico. We know the NBA plays in Japan at least 1 or 2 games out the year. We don't even hear about that until September, and the games tip off in October, and the regular season tips off in October. We're hearing about this 4 and 5 months before the season begins. So the anticipation of football is built much greater than the anticipation of the other leagues, and it could be NHL, it could be NBA, it could be Major League Baseball, it could be any other league, even in the same sport. I just love football. I mean, I love the NFL from that aspect. From other aspects, they can leave a lot to be desired. Tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a good teaser. You know what tomorrow is. You know what I'm going to bring to you. So I'm going to just sit this right here. Quote. You had Kevin Durant get bounced in the first round. You had Giannis Antetokounmpo, who got punted by the Celtics. You have, I'm trying to think of another one, Devin Booker, who came up shorter than Mini-Me against the Mavs. You have Ja Morant, who came up injured against the Warriors. And LeBron James is still, and Embiid was bounced out summarily to the Heat. And LeBron James is still the greatest player today. Close quote. That will be on tap for tomorrow morning's Bronze Sexual Confessions. Now, remember, subscribe to this video. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and like this video and share it all through our social media community. Please do that. It is important. And if you want to join us on YouTube, that's fine. If you want to join us on Roku.com on the BS3 network, please do that as well. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. 6 says, right. You have a great day too, Sick. You can find me at Cole Sports with a Z. That's Cole Sports with a Z on YouTube.com. That's youtube.com/C/Cole Sports with a Z. And I'll have takes similar to this, and I'll have takes that are differing than this because, well, it's a different show than this one. But for this one particular show, all I got to say is take care. God bless. Make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. That's what Sick is doing. Have a blessed day, everybody. That's what Sick is doing. That's what others in the chat are doing. That is what Brian is doing. That's what my boy Cool and K Peeps and Wise and Chris Bass and Sam and Ben. I know that's what they're doing. We hope that's what you're doing too. Oh, and tomorrow I might have a guest. 9 a.m. But join us at 8 a.m. because that's when we start cooking. For all of us here at Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, and on behalf of Brian Snow, I am Cole Johnson, here to say so long, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bronze Sexual Confessions, Game 1 between the Heat and the Celtics, Game 1 preview of the Mavericks and Warriors, and more. Until then, see ya!
Thank you for tuning in to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts.